Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Me and Gen Z. Before we get into today's episode, I would just like to remind you, of course, if you like the content that you see on this channel, to give this video a thumbs up and also comment any topics you would like me to discuss in future episodes down below. Of course, make sure you're subscribed and have the notification bell on so that you know when new videos go up. And with all of that out of the way, let's get into today's episode. Okay guys, so as you all know, which I just did in the intro, I always ask you guys for any topics you would like me to discuss here on this channel, and if it's something that I can kind of just talk about normally, I would post the video quite soon, like perhaps the very next week. If it's something I feel like I need to do research about, it's going to take like a couple of weeks just so that I have all the facts at my disposal. So a week or two ago, I think it's 2 weeks ago now, or 3 weeks, it's like somewhere in between there, someone did comment an idea, and first I did need to do some research, but I did some research and I couldn't really find something that I felt actually, related enough to what this person requested. It was basically talking about how people's core values and beliefs influence the way that we interact with each other, because obviously everyone has a different value system, everyone has a different belief system, everyone has different kind of attitudes towards different things, and that obviously has an effect on how we interact with each other in our day-to-day lives. And I did go and I searched for some things, I looked through some articles, and it was I didn't really find something that really kind of got to the point that I wanted to get to. So I decided to just still make a video about it, because I feel like I can still kind of get something out there that I feel is still important. So one of the very first videos that I did for Me and Gen Z actually did talk about communication and how in these times of social media and the lockdowns where we weren't really allowed to see other people, how communication in our generation really started to lack. And if we weren't sending someone a text message, having a face-to-face conversation was a little tough. So that's not exactly what this person requested, but it is kind of similar. So I think I'll put it in the description if you want to go check that out. But it's not necessary. It's just if you want to go see that whole conversation, you're more than welcome. But that did get me thinking that yes, we already have problems communicating because we're so used to social media and, just texting people, and we're not really used to communicating face to face anymore. So the social media and technology kind of do play a role. But the other thing that does play a role that this person brought up is our different values and beliefs and attitudes towards different things that do influence how we interact with each other. Some people could be someone who would, if you want to call it sugarcoating, or just be nice. Like some people will tell you the truth, but they'll try to be really nice about it. Other people are really blunt and straight to the point and will tell you the truth like it is, no sugar coating on it. And, some people prefer the one, some people prefer the other. But that is just an example of how different values, beliefs, attitudes can influence how we interact with each other, because that is kind of a part of who you are, is how do you kind of come across to other people, how do you interact with other people? Are you someone who is just gonna be straightforward and tell it like it is? Are you someone who can still convey the truth but in a more tactful kind of nice way? And I'm not saying either of these are wrong, I'm just saying that different people with these different kind of attitudes, values, beliefs will kind of interact with people in different ways. And then it's the same as how do you receive things that people say? Like, how would you receive someone telling you something in a nicer way? Not necessarily nicer. Okay, I don't want to say being blunt and straightforward is not necessarily nice, because sometimes we do also need to hear that blunt, straightforward truth without the sugarcoating. Sometimes, people prefer just, tell me the truth, but just to be a bit nicer about it. So how do we receive information will also depend on who we are, how our beliefs and attitudes are formed, and that will obviously influence how we receive information, whether we are more kind of offended. I don't really want to use that word. I feel like it's been overused. How maybe we're a little bit, taken aback by the blunt truth that someone just throws your way, or are we someone who can be like, okay, I get what you're saying, you may be a bit more tactful about it, but I get it, I understand. Or are you someone who's gonna be like, whoa, okay, like, listen, it wasn't necessary to be that rude, even though the other person once again was just saying things the way that they were perhaps raised, or what their beliefs and attitudes kind of are. They weren't necessarily trying to be rude, but of course this influences the way that we interact with each other. And eventually, if you actually start getting to know people, they may kind of change. So you might become a little bit more used to the straightforwardness of another person. That other person may kind of change the way they speak around you, just to still tell you the truth but not be as blunt about it. So these things can change once you get to know a person, but at first glance, when you're having the first conversation, you do not know people this well. So that is when I think your truest form of communication will come in, and how you interact with other people. And of course, that is very influenced by who you are as a person and your attitude. So that is the one thing, is how do we give information? How do we receive information? But now the other thing, and this kind of links to my previous video that I did on this, is having a conversation. Because interacting with each other, yes, it's one thing, back and forth, how are you doing, how was your day, that sort of thing. But having an actual conversation, actually conversing about certain topics, this can also be influenced by obviously your values, your beliefs, and your attitude towards different things. Because as we know, there are a lot of things out there that people have mixed feelings about, or mixed opinions about. And this is what okay, how do I phrase this? This is where your attitude, your beliefs, and your core values will come into greater play. Because how you react when someone brings up a topic maybe you're uncomfortable with, or something they make a statement you disagree with, or something like that, how you react is also influenced by who you are as a person. So are you someone who, when someone brings up a topic that you are uncomfortable with, do you just shut down? Do you politely ask them to move on from this topic because you're uncomfortable? Or do you just sit there in silence and listen? Or how you react in these different situations is influenced by your attitude, your beliefs, and your core values. Because your core values may be to not disregard anyone's opinion, and to be nice to everyone and hear everyone out. Okay, so if that is who you are as a person, is someone who's really nice, you're someone who wants to hear everyone's opinion, and someone brings up a topic that you're uncomfortable with, are you just going to sit there and listen even though you're super uncomfortable? Or once again, if you're someone who's like, no, I refuse to listen to anything that I'm uncomfortable with, I'm going to shut you down right now, because believe it or not, that is your core values, your beliefs coming into play, because that is how you communicate. If you're uncomfortable with the topic, you're like, listen, no, or okay, I'll listen because I don't want to disregard this person's opinion or what they want to talk about, even though I'm severely uncomfortable. So that is once again coming with your attitude, your beliefs. And then how do you handle when people make a statement that you disagree with? Once again, your beliefs and your attitude is going to play a role. Because if you're someone who's really strong in your beliefs and your core values, and the person makes a statement that kind of goes against everything you believe in, or everything that you value, you may actually be like, listen, no, you may actually not start an argument per se, but actually go out and say, listen, I disagree with you because 1, 2, 3. But then your attitude comes into play, because you may be someone who's very strong in your beliefs and your core values, but you may be a little less confrontational, and you're like, okay, I severely disagree with this person is saying, and it's really against my beliefs, but I don't really want to confront this person. I don't really want to, start a whole argument or disagreement. So I'm just gonna sit back and I know what I believe, and they can say whatever they want. I'm not going to say anything. Or are you someone going to know, this is what I believe and you're wrong because da-da-da. Also, you could just be, okay, I hear what you're saying, but here's what I think, and then have like kind of a back and forth, which is once again influenced by how strongly you believe in certain things, what your values are, and how your attitude is. So if you're someone who is more confrontational, or if you're someone who can, have a debate or a conversation in a calm manner while still standing firm on what your beliefs and values are, or if you're someone who knows what your values are, you know what your beliefs are, but you are someone who is really not confrontational or not comfortable entering like a debate type conversation, you will just sit back and not comment anything, even though you disagree. That is where your attitude towards something comes in, because you can have very strong beliefs and values in something, but if you as a person, you're not really a confrontational person, you may not actually say anything. Whereas on the opposite, if you're a very confrontational person, you may actually just confront the person head on, or you could be somewhere in the middle where you actually just say, okay, I hear what you're saying and that's a fair point, but here's what I think because of my values, my beliefs. And that is why I actually thought when this person commented, I didn't exactly know what I was going to say, but I did think it was a very interesting concept, because sometimes we think like this is just the way we interact with people, this is just how we are. But if you think about how your core values, your beliefs, and your attitude actually influence how you talk to people and how much you say, it's not always a thing of, oh, I'm an introvert or I'm shy or I'm very extroverted and outspoken. That actually forms part of your attitude. But the way that you can communicate and interact with people are actually influenced by your values and your beliefs, because that forms basically the basis of all the knowledge that you gain, because you're going to refer back to those values and beliefs when you learn new knowledge and see how the two relate, and that is going to influence how you interact with people, how you convey this information to people. So I think when I read this comment, it was really fascinating that you don't really think about how your core values and beliefs actually influence how you interact with people. You're just always thinking, oh, either I'm shy or I'm outspoken, and that's how I interact with people. Not necessarily. Like, the things you value and the things you believe really do make a difference in how you interact with people. And I thought it was a fascinating topic, and it's a little bit different for this kind of this podcast that I'm doing, but I just thought it was really fascinating. Obviously, like I said, this is not really very scientific. It's just what I kind of thought and what came to my mind when I thought about this, because I did try to search a couple of articles, but none of them really got to the point that I wanted to make. Of course, if you have other points that you would like to point out that I may have missed, do comment them down below, because I love hearing new ideas and assessing new ideas and seeing, maybe I could have added that, or maybe, it's not exactly where I was going, but okay. So I do like hearing what you guys think about this. So if you want to comment any of that down below, you feel free. Also, like I always say, comment any other topics you'd like me to discuss down below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're just listening, you can go comment on the YouTube video if you want to. Otherwise, that's also just fine. But yes, that is it for today's episode. I know it was a little less, it was a bit more informal, a little bit less scientific, but I still feel like it's an important topic to discuss, because now you can go evaluate and see, how do I interact with people and how much of this is influenced by my values and my beliefs and even my attitude towards certain things. I do hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will chat to you guys again soon. Have a great day.